Good evening, everyone. I would like to welcome you all to our Introduction to Git, GitHub, and GitHub API session. Today, this session will be hosted by Toshi Mudgal from LNMIT Jaipur and myself, Anubhav Madhav from IIIT Vadodara. We are Microsoft Learn Student Ambassadors. So, let's take a look at the flow of the event. First, we will talk about a brief introduction to Git and GitHub and how to get started with it by Toshi Mudgal, and then I will be introducing you all to APIs and how can we use GitHub API. At the end, we will also introduce you about the Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador program and few tips for the same. Then we will be having a Q&A session, and at last, we will be sharing a feedback form with you which is compulsory to be filled in order to get your certificates from Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. Now, I would like to hand over to Toshi to continue with the brief introduction to Git and GitHub. And it's really very important to stay till the end for your certificates. Toshi,
Yes.
hand over to you.
So I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so today I will provide a quick introduction to Git and GitHub. You will learn the basics of these tools and learn how to create a new repository on your local machine and on GitHub. You will also learn to synchronize your local repository with the remote. Yes, we will provide a quick introduction to Git and GitHub and see, they are integral to any software development workflow of many large teams. They also power some of the most popular open source projects. It is essential that as a developer, we get familiar with Git and make GitHub an integral part of your workflow. And we will learn why is that necessary. So the content will be what is Git and why do we use it? What is GitHub and why do we use it? And the basic terminology of Git. So Git is basically a distributed version control system. What is a version control system? It is like a software tool that manages changes to any computer program, document, or collection of files. They help a user or a group of users to track changes made to a project over time. So of the state of the project files at a certain time. It keeps the files that like get updated and references. So and why it is essential, because since most of the projects are built in teams, so we need to keep the version of each of the participant or what were the last changes, just like we work in Google Documents. I think you all must be familiar with it. So Git was released in 2005 and for Linux kernel basically. Then other kernel developers contributed to its development, and now it has become the most popular choice for software teams. It is like the standard for version control. More than 87% of the users around use Git as a control system. It offers support for non-linear development and speed. Again, that means that the development or the changes that happen over time. And you might or might not be aware, but most companies like Netflix, Google, Atlas. Okay, so GitHub again, why is it important? Like it is a platform that can be used to host the code online. Like in Git, we are working locally, but in GitHub, we are putting our code online on a platform where other developers can use it. Like it is a unified source of truth. And this is what open source means. Like many people are working. So, and it comes with tools to collaborate on projects of many sizes. Think of it as a platform that stores the whole code base in a remote repository. It comes with tools, and a repository is basically, you might be wondering what a repository is. So, just in that case, I would like to tell that it is a directory where your project lives, and it can be either be local or it can be hosted online. And for this part, to host it online, we need GitHub. It contains the entire code base as well as its revision history, like what all changes happen over the time. So it is like if our code is in a remote repository on GitHub, I'm telling you what are the advantages of GitHub. So it is like every other contributor who wants to work on the project will get it from that remote repository on GitHub, from that platform. It won't, he or she won't have to communicate. You won't have to communicate like locally. Any updates that they make and then they want to share can push those changes to the remote repository instead of sending each contributor the updates. And also contributors and collaborators can make use of GitHub's management on automation tools to make development fast as well as efficient. So moving on, we have the basic terminology of Git. I'll be explaining these one by one. First, let me tell for that what are the states of Git, like in what all states a project is there. So it allows the project files to acquire three stages basically, which is modified, staged, and committed. So modified is basically that a file you change, but the changes have not been marked yet by Git. These changes won't become the part of your next snapshot, like the ones that are keeping, but they are not like saved, you can say. Staged is then they have been tracked by the Git and will be marked as such in the next version. And committed, it means that the changed files have successfully become the part of the latest snapshot. In simpler language, it works like you make a change and then it goes into the staging area and then it gets committed, that it gets saved. I think that when we will do the demo, it will be more clear to you. It is you can think of it like a tool that manages a timeline actually. So now moving on to Git terminology, which I was about to tell. Git commit. So basically we create milestones. It captures a snapshot of a project at a particular moment in development, that till this moment all these changes are there. So committed snapshots will not change on their own. Prior to the execution of Git commit, we use the git add command, which I will be showing you. That is, it promotes the changes that we will later store. And commit and add, like the most popular command. Git checkout. Now, what is this? This is a way of switching between the branches or restores working tree files. The git checkout command is a way of switching between the branches or restores working tree files. Think of it as switching between different versions or features of a project. This command uses basically entities like files, commits, and branches. Then it is git clone. It is used to copy. Basically, you are copying a repository that is online. You're copying it into your own system so that you have your own version of that, and you can alter your version without changing the original version that is on the platform. Like GitHub. Suppose some file is on GitHub and you cloned it, and why are you cloning it? Because you want to make changes to your copy, but not that one which is on the platform. Okay, so also
can you please repeat the commit one? I didn't get it properly.
see, commit is you got the three stages.
Yes.
Whosoever asked. Okay, so commit is like you are saving it, like in a present state you are creating a milestone, that this is like in a game. You might have played games in which milestones are there, right?
Yeah.
So It is something like that. You can, and when I will show you the demo, I think it will be more clear to you. It is like capturing a snapshot. Like this won't change. This is a version.
See, it's actually like you are adding your items in the shopping cart, and finally, when you will go for billing, you will push it up. So it's
Okay.
adding and committing is like adding those items in the shopping cart, and while paying the bill, you are just pushing all those to the GitHub website. Okay?
Okay. It's like commit. It's going to the committed stage.
Yeah, it's actually
Yes,
something like
yes.
that. We are telling the Git, see, I'm 100% sure about this. I'm going to push all of it later on. It's just
Okay.
kind of instruction to it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, now moving on. I would also like to tell you about one more thing, which is Git index. When you create a commit, what is committed is what is currently in the index. Basically, it's just a term. It is not a command. Actually, it is not a command, but it is basically a terminology that what is committed is what it is currently in the index, and it is not in your working directory anymore. So, and now we come on to git pull and git tag. So git pull is what? It can be used to access and download files from a remote repository and update your local repository. Now, what is the difference? I was telling this in git clone. In git clone, you copy it and you can make changes in your local repository, but you don't want to change that file. In this, you can access and download from, and you can remote your local, you update your local repository so as to match the updates to the original one. It is like you are merging your version and the original. Git pull command is made up of basically git fetch and the git merge command. Then is git tag. It is like a reference to a specific moment. It is like a branch that doesn't change. Tagging just allows you to mark it. So next, before telling you using it for a new project, first I think I should tell you how to install it. Like the screenshot I have attached of sudo command is for Ubuntu users. In my case, I have used a link. You can get scm.com. From there, you can download your git bash according to the bit of your computer. And then after this, when I run the git version command on my git bash, it gives the version accordingly. The output would be the current version and all. So first time configuration, what is it? So the first thing we should configure after successful installation is our email address and username. And it will be done by the following commands. And the for the above command, user email, it will set the email, and the next one will set username as it is very clear. And this L command will list all the, like you can see the latest added in the last two. After that, to see all the, basically it is to see all the configurations currently saved on our working directory. And for git config user email, and this is basically I did it to check so that if the configuration is done properly or not. So now using git for a new project and then adding git to an existing project. So I'll be showing you a short demo. Okay, so first we can see what is our pwd command is basically to check what is your present working directory. And then we are in users. Okay, so I will need to, suppose I have to make a folder on my desktop only. Now, cd command, I hope some of you might know. I should tell still. Cd is basically to change your directory. So whenever you are creating a folder, you need to come to the place where you want to make it. And mkdir is the make directory command, or make. We will use it. Say the file name is demo. So now we have a. We can see that we will have a demo file demo folder created here. So let's get back and do it. cd demo. We are going in that folder. I did this to navigate to the newly created directory. Now starts our work. Git init. Now what is this git init? It initializes an empty Git repository in our folder. Running this, it is basically a new subfolder named .git is created, which contains several files. You can see here like .git. It is a subfolder, and it has several files and subdirectories that Git will use to keep track of changes in the project. Init, so init is basically initializing the Git repository in there. Now, we create this file. Now, what is this? README is basically is to include the information about your project, such as setup instructions in a file. If you have seen any GitHub repository, anything like that, you must have seen that they always have a README file. Why is it? It is because to include the basic instructions about what the repository is about, etc. It's a good practice to include it. We also have an option of GitHub also provides an option to do it directly by clicking a checkbox. That also I'll be showing you. So as of now, we will have a readme.md file here. And we can, I won't be able to open it because if you want to open it right now, it would be empty, so there's no use of opening it anyways. But if you want to open it, you can have there's an extension in Notepad plus, and you can install it, and then you can open it. Basically, .md extension files are markdown. They are like lightweight text things, which are basically for serving the purpose of giving brief explanation about what the repository is about. So now I would run.
Like dot touch creates the repository, or like it just copies it from the Git?
No,
Touch
this
creates
is
a
not a
file.
repository. This is not a. Yes, this is not a repository. README.md is not a repository.
Okay.
So when we run this command git status, what happens is it tells us that there are no commits yet, and there are some untracked files, like files you haven't tracked or you haven't added yet. This command doesn't change or update what stage, whether it's modified, staged, or untracked. An untracked file is the one that hasn't been added to your Git index yet, while a file that has been changed since your last commit was made will be seen as modified. Now, as it instructs us, let's just add this file first. In why we do this dot here is because we want to basically add all the files that are not tracked yet. If you want to add a particular file instead of the dot, you can also specify the file name. Now, again check the status. We will see that it is staged, and like we can see that used to unstage it is staged, and there's a new file found which is .md, but there are commits that are made yet. So we will Dash M is for any message that you want to put
Screen.
it with the comment.
Screen frozen.
What?
Okay.
Is my screen not visible or what?
It's perfect. It's fine. Continue.
Okay, so what I was telling. So hyphen M is for basically adding a message. Now, what is the significance of adding these messages? See, you might have many versions of the same file. So how will you identify the version? So it's a good practice to always name your versions, like this was version 1, this was version 2. It makes your as well as make others work easy working with you, and open source is all about working with people and contributing to a project together. So just random message and now we should again check our status. Nothing to comment. Working tree clean. That means all the whatever changes were there, you have commented the changes, and there's nothing more to comment. So this was how it is done for a new project. We made a project and then we initialized the repository and then we added it and committed it. Now the next part is adding Git to an project. Okay, so let's just let's create a existing project or demo one, and we'll have a save a text file into it. Okay, so we have this existing project, and now say we want to add Git to it. So we will just so ls command is basically to print. I hope this what all I done till now is clear, because I explained it earlier also. It is just I went into that file and I listed so as to see what all files are in there, and see now I want to add. So basically the steps are same. First we initialize the repository.
Actually, the presentation is
Voice
lagging.
is okay. Wait a minute. Am I audible now, and is the screen visible?
Ma'am, your voice is totally perfect, but we are not able to see the correct procedures. We are just only getting some screen views.
Actually, the video presentation is lagging a bit.
Um, Well,
Okay,
the
let's
more
just continue for
let's
2 to
just
3 minutes
continue,
more.
and
Yeah.
even if there are some doubts or whatever, I'll see to it and decide accordingly. Like, we'll share the code or whatever. Just try to understand as much as you can. So I was telling that we follow the, and you can ask if like you don't understand something. I will explain it again. I'll try my best, but I think so the internet connectivity has issues. Okay, so we will be adding this and then committing our changes. So let's give it a message first because this will be our first commit. So now we did the same procedure for an existing project, and it is now added. Now what we will like to do further, and why I created this another, because I would like to show you how to synchronize it with GitHub and how to work with a remote repository on GitHub. So having created the repository, we now need to add the files from our local repository, which is this one, to our remote one on GitHub. To do this, first let's just create an online GitHub repository. So for that, you obviously should have an account on GitHub, and then you can choose whether you want it to be public or private. And see, this was what I was telling earlier, that GitHub provides the option of adding a README file, etc.
Yeah,
So we will just create a new repository. So now what we have to do further is we have to link this one to the GitHub one, and how to do that we will see. So basically for this we learned that we have a command known as the push command. So now what it tells us is that it is a fatal command. Why? Because there is no destination. See, we created a similar online repo by the name of demo1, which and we created here. But how will this know that what is the destination? Simply git push won't tell it. So we will have to specify the URL where we want to enter it, and then we will push it accordingly. So let's do that. Remote add origin, and where we want to see, origin is basically a name. It is a convention. You can give here any name. So this is the link where we want it. So we will just paste it here. So this is our destination, and then okay. So we have set the path, set the destination basically. Now what we need to do is set now why we are doing this. Let me tell you first. The upstream command, what it does, it sets the default remote branch. Like we learned that there are many branches, and in which of the branch we want to set as default. Like any future git pull will attempt to bring in commits from the remote branch into our current local branch. So we will do this. Okay, I think I put a space by mistake. Yes, so just remember there is no space between, earlier I put a space between set and upstream hyphen by mistake. So there's no space between, and now what we see is that they are successfully committed and successfully pushed to our GitHub repository. Let's see it. Where we did it in the master branch, as we can see. Okay, we set it in the master branch. So in the master branch, we see that we have a hello open. We will open it. So we see that it's the same file which we created on our local repository, and now we have successfully pushed it. So this is how we synchronize our repository with the one that is online. Now, for the next part, I would like to hand over the presentation to Anubhav, and I hope I was able to convey my thoughts well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Toshi. So let me just present my screen. Is my screen visible to all?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So before just directly jumping into what is an API and how to use GitHub API, let me first tell you a best and easiest way to maintain projects on GitHub. See, first of all, I may understand that it is actually hard in beginning with Git and GitHub. So first of all, what you need to do is, if you are a beginner, just go to your favorite browser, type in GitHub, and make an account on GitHub if you don't have one. And once you will have an account on GitHub, you will see something like this. So your account is ready. And the other thing which you are supposed to do is go to the website gitscm.com and click on downloads and download the Git bash according to your operating system. If you're working on Windows, click on Windows and it will automatically start downloading the Git bash according to your architecture. So for now, see, let's say that we are about to create a project and we want to maintain it using GitHub. So there are basically very simple 4 commands, and out of them 3 will be used again and again. See, what you need to do is just visit your website github.com, click here and click on create new repository. Let's say the name of your project is, let me name it as MLSA demo. Okay, no need to give description, or you can even give description if you want about your project. Like let's say I may say this is our demo repository for MLSA event. And it's your choice whether you want to keep it public or private. Private will be visible only to you. Public will be visible to everyone, not just your followers, but to everyone. And if you want, you can add a README file from beforehand itself. Like adding a README file will help others who visit your profile, who visit your repositories, to know about your project well. There you can mention each and everything about your project, that how can we use it, or how does it work, what are its different functionalities and all. And see, git ignore file is a file in which few not so important files are ignored. Like if you are making a project on Python, you can click on it, use a use a template of git ignore of Python, so that all the unnecessary files like cache files which are not really supposed to be pushed on GitHub can be get ignored automatically. And if you want, you can also choose a license, though it is of no use for you all. Like let's say I'm using a license, GNU General Public License, and then create a repository. Simple. And your repository is created. Now what you are supposed to do is that you want this repository on your local system. For that, click on this green button, code, click on this link, copy this link, and come back to your local system. Let's say I'll create a folder name project over here, project, and I want to work in this directory. So I will open it, and as I have already installed my git bash, so I will right click over here and open my git bash in this directory, that is in the directory project. So git bash here, and the first command which you are supposed to do is, you can even write it down somewhere if you want, just clone the repository. So write git clone and paste that link. Either right click and click on paste, or you can directly press shift plus insert to paste the link and then press enter. Now what it will do is that your repository is completely cloned in this directory name project. Now we will open it. Let's say we will do something work like you're working on a web development project. You will create your HTML files, CSS files, JavaScript files, and will work on it. Like in short, you will make some changes, and you want to push those changes on your GitHub. Let's say what can we do here is, okay, I'll create a Python file. For that, if I want to open my Visual Studio Code in this directory, what am I supposed to do in the shortest way? Tell me, is anyone here who can tell me the shortest way to open Visual Studio Code in this directory? Or shall I continue?
Sir, you just left click. You just do left
Sir,
click and
do the right click on whatever directory you want to open, and
Yeah.
there will be option with open with VS Code.
yeah,
VS Code.
use
Yeah,
code. Use code.
but the thing is that it actually is not this option is not available for all the PCs. It's like if during installation you don't click on that certain option that right click should be providing this open with code
Yes,
option,
sir. Then you have
then
to
it won't be
go to
visible.
that. Then we have to go to that install option, and then we have to click on that.
Now, yeah, other way we can use is like click here on this path, open your command prompt over here by writing in CMD. Okay, so this will open your command prompt in this directory, that is
Okay.
desktop, project, and MLSA demo. Now, what we are supposed to write here to open our Visual Studio Code in the same directory? Anyone? It's just one word command. Okay, so it is code dot. Dot means that I want to open my code in this directory. Press enter. Now this will open my Visual Studio Code in the directory I desired. Okay. So let's make a Python file over here. Let's say program1.py. I'm not going to teach you Python over here for now. Let's say I'm just writing print MLSA event and save it. So I have made some changes and saved it. I'll just close it. Let me just first run it for you. Run code Python, and it is printed. Okay. So I've made some changes, and I want these changes to show on my GitHub repository too. See, for now it is not showing any changes on the GitHub repository, as I have not even added or committed or push anything. I'll close all of these things, and if I want to push these changes on the GitHub website, so what I will do here is I'll come back here, right click, and git bash here again. Now there are just 3 commands. I will first write down git add dot. See, I'm just telling it that I want to add these files so that I can push it later on. But dot here means that all the files which are currently in this directory should be added in the streamline. You can only use prog1.py2, but it's better if you always use dot, so that you want, obviously you will want everything to be pushed on the GitHub. The only thing is that whatever is inside git ignore will not be pushed. For now, this is Python template. I'll tell about this to you later on. First of all, let's try pushing it for once. I will write git add dot, then git commit, and M here stands for message. You can type in any message. Let's say project completed. You can type in message so that you can understand it later on, that till what version did you work in your project, and then press enter. So all the changes are added and committed. Now all we are supposed to in the website GitHub. So that is git push. That's it. And if we go and check website over here, let me refresh it. I can see that my program1.py file is added over here with that part of code. But what is that git ignore file? Let's say if I add here prog1.py and I make some changes in this. Let's say event 6th April, 5th April 21. I've made the changes and I don't want these changes to be pushed to the GitHub repository. So I've added my prog1 file in the git ignore. I'll again open git bash here, git add dot git commit m second trial. Message can be anything. Git push. Message should be in double quotes only. That's it. Now if I will go here, I can see that my prog1.py is still here and the changes are also reflected. 5th April 2021. So why didn't it work? Because in .git ignore, I was supposed to write it like as if it is a folder of file. Prog1.py. Well, it is not much used in the beginning, but later on you can use for certain files if you do not want to push it up to the GitHub. Again git bash, git add dot, git commit m, third try, git push. See, now we can see that my third trial is not pushed and the changes are not yet reflected. Otherwise, it would have shown third trial over program1.py2. Though it has showed me changes in the git ignore file as I added few changes in it, but program1.py is still in the second trial commit. So that's it. That's how you can use git ignore file to ignore few files to be pushed to GitHub. And the other thing is that one of you asked in the registration form that how can we host websites using GitHub? Well, anyone has any doubts till yet? Do anyone has any doubts?
Sir, is there a difference between Git Bash and Git GUI?
Yeah, there's a difference. Actually, it's better if you use Git Bash. Git GUI is basically graphical user interface. It makes work easier for the beginners, but it is not recommended by the developers. Git GUI here is like a total different thing where you can use such buttons and click and push your code using graphical user interface.
Okay, sir.
Got it?
Yes.
Okay. So the next thing is that how can we host websites using GitHub? See, for that we can use GitHub Pages. Do anyone know that what GitHub Pages is? Okay, no problem. See,
Yes,
but
sir.
yeah, tell me. Okay, let me continue.
GitHub pages, github.io URL.
Yeah, that's correct. See, it's like basically they will provide you a domain, free domain, where you can host static websites. Static websites mean totally and purely front-end websites in which you have only used HTML CSS, and JavaScript for front-end only, and no backend can be used for that. If you want to host websites using backend, you have to go for services like Heroku or Netlify. But if you want it for free only for static pages, you can make use of GitHub Pages as well. So let's see that how can we do that if we want to make a pure front-end website of our own, and how can we host it using GitHub Pages. So what we will do is we will again make a GitHub repository. We will come to our profile, click here, click on new repository, and here I will write MLSA host GitHub Pages. You can write anything, depends on your project, and you can write a description. It's optional. This is a demo for hosting GitHub Pages. And let me make it public for now. I'm adding a README file, a gitignore file. I'm not adding a gitignore file. I'm adding a license of, let's say, Apache license. And I'll create a repository. And my repository is created. But before just going for the coding part, I'm supposed to make some changes to my repository. And that is, I will allow GitHub Pages to take control over my repository so that they can host whatever code is in my repository. Let's say for that, I will go to settings of my repository. I will scroll it down, and here in the GitHub Pages section, I will click on main branch, and that to root directory, and then I will click on save. See, it expressed it GitHub Pages source save. Now I will come back to my repository and I will clone it. So for that, I will click on that green button again, copy this link, come back to my local system. I'll make a new folder here named project2. I will open it and I will just completely clone that repository over here. For that, I will write git clone, and shortcut is shift insert for pasting, and then I'll press enter. This will clone my repository for me. See, by changing the settings of to allow GitHub Pages, it actually means that you might be remembering that we selected the root directory. So whatever HTML file, let's say index.html, will be in a root directory. The changes will be accordingly. So what am I supposed to do is I will create my HTML file, that is a main home page HTML file. For now, let's say index.html in the root directory itself. I won't create any further directories or folders. I will just create index.html in the root directory only, so that GitHub will come to know that yes, I am supposed to host index.html as it is in the root directory. For that, I will again open command prompt over here, and I will open my Visual Studio Code by typing in the command code dot in this directory, and it is open. And now I will create a HTML file named index.html. For now, it's showing me in Django HTML as I'm familiar to that. But see, if I want to change this HTML from Django HTML to normal HTML, I will click here at the top, at the bottom right, at Django HTML. This will open this option for me, language mode. I will type in HTML and I will click on normal HTML. So it's converted into normal HTML. And if I want to save my time, I've already installed a boilerplate. So I will write just HTML and click on this boilerplate. So it totally writes a completely boilerplate for me. And let's say title is MLSA event. And in the body, I would like to write first a h1 tag. If many of you might be knowing about h1 tag, is a heading tag in HTML. Let's say MLSA event on April 5th, 2021. And I will also add a paragraph tag. I will write hello everyone. I will save it. I've saved it. Now I will close it. And now I'm expecting and when I will push these changes to GitHub, I will expect GitHub to host this on a particular URL. and I will tell you about that URL later on. See, my index.html file is over here. Now I will open my git bash over here. Add this index.html file to the streamline by writing in the command git add dot git commit m hosting on GitHub pages. Message can be anything of your choice. Git push. Just 3 simple commands. Actually, basically 4. First, to clone the repository, then these 3 to just keep on pushing the changes as you go by your project. Git push. So I have pushed it. It's completed. I will go back to my repository. I'll refresh it, and my index.html is over here. But for now, if I want to see that how is my website hosted, for that I will write my username Anubhav Madhav dot github.io / the name of my repository, and the name of my repository is MLSA host, I guess. Right? What was the name of my repository? MLSA host GitHub pages. MLSA host GitHub pages. Enter. And see, as I wrote over there, MLSA host GitHub pages. This is a demo for hosting GitHub pages. So our website is hosted by using GitHub pages. And if I refresh it, it isn't showing any changes. Why so? So any doubts still here yet? Anyone?
Sir, index.html is necessary, or we can use another name?
You can use other name too, but it should be in the root directory. You can use home.html, but it should be on the very first directly. Like there should be no other folder, and you should not keep your HTML files inside that folder. It should be in the root directory.
Anubhav?
Then how
Yeah.
can it, sir, how the homepage is decided? Like if we put 2 HTML files in it.
Oh, actually, see, then it can be a problem. But basically, if you are going to make a static website, you will be mostly using one single HTML file only. So you can make use of different files too. But that totally like, yeah, that's a good question.
Okay, sir.
I haven't
Okay.
thought of that yet. If
Okay.
anyone can search for that, yeah, yes, Toshi.
There's a question. There's a request by Namrata Agarwal in the chat box. Can you repeat last 1 minute after creating HTML file?
Chat box is visible to them. Okay, yeah, sure. From where? After creating the HTML file. Hello.
Yes, she said that can you repeat last 1 minute after creating HTML file?
Yeah, sure. I will. So this till here we created a HTML file, and now I'll just save it. Again, I will push this changes to the GitHub repository. Git commit, git add commit, pushing again. It is saying that there are no changes to be committed as we have made no further changes yet, and then git push. Everything is up to date because we have already done that. And now I will come back to my website. For that, I will type in this URL, which is my username.github.io, and then the name of the repository, that is MLA host GitHub pages. That's it. See, it's active now. as I wrote in the HTML file, MLSA event on April 5th, 2021. Hello everyone. Okay. Actually, it takes a bit time to reflect the changes in the GitHub pages. It can show you the status over here. GitHub page is active or pending. For now it is active, so it will show us the changes. Got it? Or any doubts? As the title was there and heading and paragraph text too. Title, heading and paragraph text. Is it okay to whoever asked this question? Okay, so I'm continuing with the event. The next thing is that what is an API? See, API stands for Application Programming Interface. And according to Wikipedia, in computing, an application programming interface or an API is an interface that defines interactions between multiple software applications or mixed hardware software intermediates. मुझे भी कुछ नहीं समझ आया इसमें से. तो just to make it easier for you, API can be simply defined as a software which is used by various different softwares or applications to communicate among themselves. Like if an Android app wants to communicate with website, it will make use of an API. Or just one website, let's say Make My Trip will like to communicate with another website like GoIbibo or GoIndigo. It will make use of an API. And what do they do then in that communication? We'll just look for that further. See, first of all, you might have used Amazon.in, and you might have noticed one thing, that like if you are placing an order or adding something to a cart in your using a mobile phone, then the same changes will be reflected to the desktop website or on your laptop within just 2 to 3 seconds. So that work is basically done by the API. And moreover, API is majorly used in different websites, like with completely different domain. For example, if you want to book a flight ticket, we rarely visit websites of airlines like Indigo, Go Air, or Air India. We make use of websites like Make My Trip, GoIbibo, or even Paytm. So what happens is that websites like Indigo, Air India has provided their APIs to websites like Make My Trip and Paytm, and they have allowed Paytm to book websites for them. So what happens is that user will come to Paytm website and it will try to book a website. It will try to book a seat for Indigo, and as soon as a user book the seat using Paytm, the changes will be reflected to Indigo. That yes, that seat number 5 is already reserved, and same changes will be reflected back to makemytrip.com, so that if any other user visits this website MakeMyTrip, he can see that seat number 5 is already booked. So this is the use of APIs. That is communication between different softwares. So without talking further more about APIs, let's see that how can we make use of GitHub API. Majorly, GitHub provides two kind of APIs to the general public, that is authenticated and the other is unauthenticated. Authenticated means if we want to make use of that API, we would require to log in using a GitHub credentials. And unauthenticated one is the one which can be used by anyone, and we do not need to log in for that. And what unauthenticated GitHub provides is they can provide us with users details if we enter the username, number of public repositories of that user, and number of organizations, number of followers, and a lot more. Names of those repositories too. So let's see that how can we make use of a GitHub API. I'm not going to write complete code in front of you as we are lack of time. So I have already written that code. And what I will do is I will make a new folder over here. Let's say GitHub API demo. I'll open my VS Code over here. And I'll create a Python file. Let's say github.py. Don't worry, I'll explain you the code. See, what we are doing is, here I have imported a Python module named request. What it does is that it helps us to make or send HTTP requests to certain servers, certain URLs or endpoints, so that we can retrieve data from over there. And what I have done here is that I have taken a variable named username and assigned it with the value of my GitHub username. Then this is the GitHub API which I'm going to use. HTTPS api.github.com/users and /username. It can be changed by anyone's username. I've assigned it to the variable URL. I've also created another variable named URL2, which is URL plus organizations, so that I can make use of that later on. If you don't know that what organizations are, it is basically, see, this is my profile. This is my number of followers. This is my following. This is the number of repositories I have started. And this is my, and these are my organizations, which are, we can say, open source organizations I have joined by it. Okay. So what I will do is that I will make that program count my number of followers, my number of, or not just mine or anyone's, whoever's username I will write it over there. So it's basically sending a request.get URL of this particular username in the JSON format. And R2 is the variable which is requesting for the organization of that particular username. And this is just to check that whether the username exists or not. If username will not exist, it will just show that hello, that username. And if the username exists, it will also print hello first name. And it will then print number of followers, number of public repositories, number of organizations joined, and also the profile picture of that particular username, and then the full name of that username. So is here anyone who has already created their GitHub account? Can you please tell me your GitHub username?
Yes, sir, Prabhav Sharma 108.
Vaibhav Sharma.
Sir, Prabhav Sharma.
Prabhav.
PRABHAV.
Then
Prabhav Sharma 108.
okay, so let's see that how many followers or organizations have Prabhav has yet. I'll run the Python file in terminal, and it has returned me a JSON file with complete details of Prabhav. We can see that his username is this, ID is this, avatar URL, that is his profile URL is this, and the followers URL, it's just hard to read for now. And the message here is that hello, first name Prabhav, and he has 1 follower for now, and he has 4 public repositories. It won't count your private repositories, only public will be counted, and number of organizations joined yet is 0. And if you want to see his profile URL, then we will just control plus click over here and open. So he hasn't put any profile picture yet, and his full name is Prabhav Sharma. Is that correct, Prabhav?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So if you want this code, I will upload this on GitHub and will provide this to you in later on in the email. And the very next thing which we can do using GitHub API is that I once created a project named Avengers of GitHub using GitHub API last year. And you can even make such a website using GitHub API and normal coding. It's just taking time to load due to slow internet. See, this is the website, and what it can do is if we enter certain username, it will throw off some statistics about it and will also tell that which Avenger are you according to your GitHub profile or your statistics on GitHub yet. So anyone else other than Prabhav who wants to tell their username?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Castrol. Search Castrol.
Can you please spell it out?
KASTRAHL. And
Okay,
I think you will.
STRH.
It will answer also the question of multiple indexes.
Let's see that what are the details of you. See, according to my project, you are a Groot and you have 24 public repositories, 23 followers, and you have joined 0 organizations yet. And this is your profile picture. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you see what kind of projects you can make using any API, not just GitHub API. You can use weather APIs, COVID-19 APIs, and use it in your Android apps or in websites. And if I will write certain like a username which does not exist, it will just throw 404, showing 404. It's taking time to load. That this username doesn't exist. Seems like you have entered the wrong username. And if the username is correct, please try after an hour. Okay, so for now, that's it for today. And if you want to know more about Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador, I'll just brief it out that it is a program where the student developers learn using the resources provided by Microsoft. And well, either instead of me telling it, if anyone wants to ask any questions regarding the event or even about the program, so you can ask, just unmute yourself and ask the questions.
Sir, when should one begin to work on open source projects?
See, it's better if you have good hold on either on Android apps or on web development by the end of first year. And as soon as you enter your second year, you can start contributing to open source projects. So that just after your second year, you can even try for Google Summer of Code.
Sir, is
Anything
it
else?
necessary to know web development first?
No, not really, but generally people do that. You can go for any kind of projects, but majorly even in Google Summer of Code, I can say that 60 to 70% projects or organizations gives projects on web development only. So it is a huge part, I can say. Anyone else? Any questions? Okay, so if
So I think we should just tell them about feedback form and about the certificate of participations next.
yeah, so for now, what you are supposed to do is just type in this URL in your phone or your laptop, fill the feedback form, and you will get your certificates in 2 to 3 working days. It's really very important to fill this feedback form in order to get your certificates. So just type it over here and fill it as soon as possible. Okay, is chat box available to all, visible to all?
No, sir, it is not available to guests.
Okay, it is not available to guests. So guests can just see that from the PPT, and I'll share it for everyone else. My God. Yeah, just take it. Others can see it from here. And
Yes, I have provided the link in the chat box.
Yeah.
Also, Anubhav has also provided, so you can use it too.
And if you have filled the form, you can leave the meeting. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.